and you didn't come after the importance of e-money to your everyday life. And Mr. Ali, good morning.
Good morning.
But you're not saying.
You
see, you didn't come out there now. Will be a case e-money, but your idea.
Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me on board. And good morning to all your listeners. E-money is basically electronic money. It's actually money that is stored in a digital format.
Okay.
So let's just roll back our mind now. If you look at e-money is basically physical money which is stored in an electronic format. So every e-money you see in the market must be backed by physical cash. If not, we'll be creating artificial cash. And so let's take mobile money for instance now. You would have to actually have physical cash before you're able to go to a merchant location and say, take this physical cash and give me the equivalent in electronic value. That is what is actually e-money. So e-money is actually the electronic format of a physical cash. And this is normally backed by regulation, and there are some guidelines as to how you should actually handle the e-money. Yeah.
All right, so give us a little background as to the emergence of e-monies and some
All right, so if you actually look at some way back about 10 years ago, about some 100 years ago, we're actually doing barter trading, right?
Yeah.
So I have an item and you have an item, and then we can actually swap. Then came physical cash. So that's what we pretty much use now. So there's cash that we use for our trading. Then came electronic money. Now, over a period of time, we've been trying to find out what is the most convenient way of actually handling cash and carrying cash across borders. You and I are privy to the fact that our traders and our market women who go to certain locations to buy goods and services are always being attacked by armed robbers here and there. So the business community and the financial technology community actually sat down and said, how do you transport money from one location to another location in a much more safer way, so that in the event when somebody actually intercepts you on the way, what the person can actually see is electronic money and not a physical money. And then when you get to the final destination, there's like a redemption point where you go and then actually swap your electronic money now for the physical money. So it's actually a safe way of transporting money. So the journey has been from barter trading system to physical cash to electronic money, but all is in a way of trying to formalize our economy and actually improve the way cash is handled.
All right, so what are the forms that e-money takes?
All right, so there are several forms, but the two main categories I would say is the online and the offline.
Okay.
The online form is more like you go into a banking hall. So if you go into a banking hall and you say you want to withdraw money from your account, the bank has something they call a core banking system, or like a system that stores everybody's balances.
Okay.
Now you go in there and then you exchange that money for your physical cash. Whilst you're there, it's actually an online system because the bank would have to verify your balance real time, connect to their database and verify your balance real time before they give you the cash. Now, that is the online version. The offline one is, for example, you have an e-switch card. You go into a remote location where there's no connectivity. The value or your balance is actually stored on the physical device, i.e. the card that you're holding. There's a wallet on the card that stores your balance. So your system will not have to contact any central server to validate your balance and everything. You can actually redeem cash from a local location based on the value on it. All you have to do is possibly go through an authentication process, i.e. enter a PIN or a password or use biometrics, and then the value is actually then given to you. So these are the two broad categories. But so if you actually look at the likes of maybe holding a bank account balance or looking at mobile money or looking at any form of e-money, it would actually fall into one of these broad categories that I've mentioned.
All right, so now what I'm trying to understand is in this age where a lot of online transactions happen, where people are buying stuff with prepaid cards and postpaid cards and debit cards and the rest of them. Does it also fall under which of the categories does it fall under? Is it the online or the offline category?
All right, so once you're doing a transaction and the system requires to validate and authenticate your balance real time. So what it means is that if the host or the final destination where the verification is done is not available, the system would fail. That is an online system. So for example, if you actually have a debit card and you go online and you want to buy something from an Amazon or an eBay, and you go and then enter your card details and everything, and then you actually see the system saying, hold on, we're verifying. Once it says you're verifying, and because it's a debit card, what it then means is that it's actually going to consult an external system to find out, 1, is the password correct? 2, is the balance correct? 3, is this the original card that was issued to the person? When all these validations are done, then everything is correct. Then the system will return and say successful, and then the transaction can be completed. So this is a typical online system. However, if you actually have, you go online and you're actually buying something with, say, a prepaid card, it depends on how the system was actually implemented. Some of the systems would have wallets stored locally, similar to what the eSwitch card is. If the verification does not need an external system, but all the verification and the validation is actually done on the card instantly, then that will be an offline environment. And so that is the two clear difference. So it depends on where the validation is being done at the point when the transaction has been done, what will determine whether it's an online or it's an offline system.
All right, so I couldn't help but notice the premium you put on ease of transactions and then security of using e-money for your transactions. But are there concerns, are there challenges, are there disadvantages to using e-money? And then comparatively, the advantages and the disadvantages, which outweighs the other?
Well, just like every system, there's no perfect system in the world, right? And there are limitations. I keep saying to people, whilst you try to create convenience, you might also be exposing yourself to some security concerns. But in summary, the advantages outweighs the disadvantages. One of the things I would say, if you're actually using an e-system, you should actually be mindful of is, 1, how do you ensure that you protect your authentication mechanism? So, i.e., if you're using mobile money, for instance, now, your PIN is very important. It's like having the key to your door.
Yeah.
If you actually expose your PIN to somebody else, the person can actually go and actually take money from your account, right? And so holding that authentication tool very dear to yourself is something that is very, very important, and you make sure that doesn't get compromised. Also making sure that the instrument itself, so if it's a card, you don't leave it to be lying around so people can actually clone the card and make multiple copies of it and use it for transaction. That is also something that users of electronic money would have to be very, very mindful about. But if you actually come to the, and then issues about phishing, there's something where people call you on phone and try to impersonate you and try and convince you to actually part with your PIN. It all boils down to customer education, and I'm sure it's something that all users of electronic money system would have to be very, very mindful about. And I think the operators are actually doing a very good job in that direction of educating people on how they should actually ensure that their systems are not compromised and how they should not be giving sensitive information to people they are not familiar with. However, the benefits is that, listen, if you actually use e-money to do your transactions, 1, it's fast, it's safe, it's convenient, and then the most critical thing is that it actually leaves an audit trail. So sometimes when we spend physical cash in certain locations, when you want to actually do your reconciliation, you are not too sure. You've seen 10 cedis is left your pocket, but you're not too sure as to where you spend that money or what you spent it on. If you had actually used an electronic form of a transaction or electronic means of payment, you would actually get an audit trail that clearly shows you all the locations and how it was spent, and then that actually would help you with your reconciliation. Yeah.
All right, so in summary, where do you fit in as an outfit, as an entity, Global Accelerex?
Okay, so thank you very much. So Global Accelerex is actually a payment processing company. So we are actually more like a payment facilitator. And so we actually sit in the middle. So you have the schemes, like the big schemes, like the mobile money network sitting in one side. Then you have the consumer sitting in one side. Then there's somebody who is actually a payment facilitator who sits in the middle and makes sure that we take transactions from users to the final destination, and then out of which there's a commission that we charge for such transactions. So Global Accelerex is actually a payment systems company. We predominantly focus on point of sale terminals. So you go into all these big shops and then you want to pay with your card, or you want to pay with more money, and then some sort of a device is brought where you slot in your card, or they punch some words and then the code is sent to your phone and you enter. That is where we actually specialize in. We also have a platform that enables people to actually do online payments, and that's something we call the RexPay. That's a product that is actually launched to actually help SME customers to actually do online payment. You know, now we have a lot of people doing things on social media. So I want to sell to you a pair of shoes. I actually advertise a pair of shoes. You are interested, you want to buy the shoe. I can actually send you a link where you click, and then it will ask you to either pay with mobile money or pay with your card. You enter the details. I can actually confirm that transaction, and then the item can be shipped off to you. So that is where we sit in that. So we're actually more like a payment facility that sits between the consumer and, I would say, the final destination, be it a mobile money company or a scheme or a card scheme. That's where we sit.
What should motivate me to use your platform for transactions?
Well, That's an interesting question. Well, one of the things that should motivate you is the fact that most of our product development is actually customer-centered. And so before we actually come up with any product, we actually have a user group that sits down to actually tell us what requirements we should actually put in there. We actually take real users and real customers who actually give us feedback too. The reason why you should actually use our platform is that the pricing is relatively, I'll say, competitive as compared to some other platforms in the market. And then the security in these days, and it's interesting to know that Global Accelerex is actually a company that has actually been approved by the Central Bank of Ghana, and we have our enhanced payment systems license from the Central Bank of Ghana. That tells you we also are PCI DSS certified, and we are also ISO 27001 certified. So in terms of all the certifications that is required to prove that we're actually capable to do what we are required to do, we've actually crossed all those certifications. So largely our platforms are very secured, and I can only say that what we require is for people to experience our platform and actually give live testimonies. All right,
so somebody wants to contact you out for some business transaction. How does he reach you?
All right, so we're available online. You actually go to www.globalaccelerex.com.gh, and all the information, all the contact information, all the contact people, everything is there. So www.globalaccelerex.com.gh, and you can actually find us on social media as well, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on Twitter as well.
Yeah. Is there a number?
Well, there's a number. You can actually call us or contact us on 050-126-0276, and then we can actually attend to you.
Yeah. All right, final words to our viewers and listeners before we round up.
Okay, thank you very much. I think my final words are pretty simple. Look, we need to embrace this digital payment ecosystem. Look, digital payment has come to stay. It's one of the surest ways of ensuring that we formalize our economy. And also make sure that there's proper records and audit trail for all that happens in our economy. It's come to stay. What I would say is that people should actually try and embrace it, get to understand these platforms and utilize them. It will actually benefit them and actually make their life simple. And I'll say to our SME customers that, listen, adopt a digital payment platform. Make sure that you actually transport your money electronically using an electronic or an e-money system, just so you avoid all the hassle and bustle that comes with carrying physical cash.
Sir, we're grateful that you made time to join us today.
Thank you very much
to have this conversation.
Thank you very much.
And on that note, our time is fast spent. I'm grateful that you made time to join us this morning for this conversation. I do hope and pray that your day goes right for you. And I've been here with Mr. Sebastian Yali, who is the MD and CEO for Global Accelerex. We'll be back going tomorrow morning at exactly 5:30. Do make a date. My name is Samuel Ishen. Stay safe.